Well, hello and welcome to Module 4 of ITEC 6380, Supporting Student Success. Before the end of this module, you should be able to examine personalized learning. This is aligned with Danielson's online framework domain 1B to know our learners. Identify accommodations and modifications that can be made in an online learning environment. As we already know, face-to-face education is not the same as online instruction. And so it follows that these accommodations and modifications might very well look different in that environment as well. Justify personalization, accommodations, modifications, and/or individualization to your course content based on student learning profiles. And it really goes back to knowing our learners here. This is even going to drive which apps we choose to use in our course. And also it'll drive the types of goals that we hope to develop for students. We always want to follow the SMART goal format of specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based goals. There are a few important definitions to go over for this week that are a key part of this week's content. First is personalization, which is a system of mindsets and practices that allow teachers to increase a student's chance of engaging with learning materials, mastering learning materials, and applying learning materials to the real world based upon students' own interests, wants, and goals. This system has an emphasis on customization, that is, ways that we tailor and customize the learning experience to individual student needs and interests, and also student control, giving students some element of control over their learning goals, and also in areas such as time, place, pace, and path. This week it's going to be especially important to differentiate between some of the terms in the course. Among them are the difference between differentiation and individualization. Differentiation refers to the act of changing the order of learning activities or the activities themselves that are based on a student's needs or performance. However, individualization refers more to the structure of learning that uses mastery data to provide students with the learning opportunities that are tailored to their own individual levels of understanding and or ability. Second, there's the difference between accommodation and modification. Accommodation changes how students learn. That'd be the ways that they interact with the content. Maybe it's something like a read aloud versus online text, for example. Whereas modification changes what students are taught or expected to do in school. A key point here is whenever possible, it's better to accommodate rather than to modify. And third, you're probably familiar with the 504 plans versus an IEP. Just as a review, a 504 is a plan that lists the accommodations a school provide. These would be things like an audiobook or note-taking aids or extended time to complete tests so that a student with a disability has equal access to the general education curriculum. Whereas an IEP, or individualized education program, is a plan that details the support and services. These would be things like speech therapy or a multisensory reading instructional approach that a school will provide to meet the individual needs of a student with a disability who qualifies for special education. Now, there are a few keys to personalization. Among them are to develop it collaboratively. This is where working with our stakeholders can be a real key, or working with other teachers on our team. Also, survey your students. Often they know some things about the ways that they learn best. Maybe you want to find out if a student, do they usually like to listen to music while they learn? Or do they prefer hearing instructions in audio versus seeing video instructions? Also, you want to give students more control. And this is a tough one for us as teachers to make our instruction more student-centered. This might mean using an instructional approach such as inquiry-based learning or doing research involving the guided inquiry design model. You also want to choose a blended model. Are you going to go with some choice boards for your students? Or are you going to use playlists or adaptive learning software? Strike a balance between structure and flexibility. We need to help our students to meet the different course learning outcomes and objectives. We also need to do it in a flexible manner. In terms of your discussion this week, it is going to be back on Flipgrid. And so you're going to choose one student here. Now, to find your student, you can find them on Blackboard, and it'll be in Module 4. Show you where this is real quick. Down here in the discussion. Once again, you've got a rubric here, but you're going to pick one student. You can take a look at them through their profiles. And the profile, as you can see, it's going to contain information about their grade level, things about their behavior, The program status is, do they have an IEP? Are they gifted talented? Are they on free and reduced lunch? Other student information and medical conditions and demographics. And we're just going to take one of these students. Based on the information that's contained within the learner profile, you're going to discuss 3 accommodations or modifications to your course curriculum that you made note of and what you're planning to do to individualize the learning experiences for that student. Be sure also to explain why you're making each accommodation or modification and the impact that it will have on your student's success. Now remember, you're going to need to reference the assigned readings in your replies, and you're going to make those to at least 2 classmates. And you might want to confirm their plans for modification or accommodation, or maybe you want to make some suggestions about additional modifications or accommodations they might make. It's also a good idea to include a question in your responses to your peers so we can continue those discussions. Just as a reminder, we also have a synchronous session this week. It'll be on Monday, the 21st of February. It'll be at 6 p.m. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions or if you'd like to set up a Zoom meeting this week. And I hope everybody have a great week of learning.